Hi friends, welcome back to another episode of Generation Tech. My name is Alan. Since day one of The Mandalorian, there has been a lot of mystery about what happened to the Mandalorian people. Instead of seeing the vibrant and colorful armor we're used to seeing Mandalorians wear, when we're introduced to Din Djarin and his tribe, we see a group of Mandalorians equipped with dull and dusty armor. What's even stranger is the fact that they're all hiding underground. I originally chalked this up to the fact that the Empire has really done a great deal of damage to Mandalorian culture during the Great Purge, and this was kind of the result of all of the devastation on that planet. I even wondered if this tribe of Mandalorians were the last ones left in the entire galaxy. After all, we don't really hear much about Mandalorians in the sequel trilogy, aside from seeing some of their starfighters in the last movie. The more we learn about Din Djarin, the more confusing it gets. For some reason, his faction of the Mandalorians has all these weird customs that I've never heard of. Like the whole don't take your helmet off in the presence of other living beings rule. Mandalorians have always taken their helmets off in the presence of others, so why such a change in heart? Some assume that it was due to the fact that the Imperials were hunting down Mandalorians all over the galaxy, so protecting your identity is important. But it's 9A BY by the time of The Mandalorian. The Galactic Civil War is over and the Empire more or less lost. Would the New Republic really tolerate their occupation of such a famous world like Mandalore? We also see that the Mandalorians are led by a mysterious woman known only as the Armorer. Her job seems to be collecting Beskar plates from Mandalorian bounty hunters and turning them into armor and weapons. We know that armorers are important in Mandalorian society because they jealously guard the secrets of how Beskar is refined into working armor, but they've never been seen as leaders so far in Mandalorian lore. Now, for the rest of the video, there are going to be spoilers from the third episode of the second season, so you might want to tune out because we finally get the information we were looking for. The Mandalorian, Din Djarin, is actually not a part of any faction we've ever seen or heard of before. When Din Djarin finally meets up with bo-katan and the Night Owls, Din kind of freaks out when he sees them take off their helmets. As far as he's concerned, Mandalorians aren't supposed to ever do anything like this.
Where did you get that armor?
This armor has been in my family for 3 generations.
You do not cover your face. You are not Mandalorian.
Axe Woves, one of bo-katan's warriors, identifies Din Djarin quickly as a child of the Watch, and bo-katan's other warrior swears Dank Farrik. Both individuals seem to be pretty familiar with whatever faction Din Djarin belongs to, and they're really not amused. Bo-katan silences them for a second and explains to Din Djarin that he's actually a part of a group known as Children of the Watch. See, these were apparently a cult of religious zealots who broke away from Mandalorian society. Their main goal was to re-establish the ancient way, the way of the Mandalore. Din Djarin is rightly upset by all these revelations and then just kind of decides to fly away. Now first I gotta say something, I always knew there was something off about Din Djarin. He lacked the traditional gruff and charisma that Mandalorians usually have. The not taking off the helmet thing, the earning a sigil tradition, and just Din Djarin's more subdued nature all seemed kinda off to me. But now it makes sense because Din Djarin most likely doesn't know many Mandalorians outside of the small cult he grew up in. What he knows about Mandalorian culture was all shaped by the Covenant and tribe that he grew up in. As far as we know, he's probably never seen Mandalorians outside of the Children of the Watch, hence the confusion when he meets bo-katan. Anyway, Mando and bo-katan and her blue warriors sit down for some ale and talk some more, and we learn a little bit more about the beliefs of the Children of the Watch. For one reason or another, Din Djarin had been brainwashed into thinking that his home planet of Mandalore was cursed and anyone who ventured there would die. Meanwhile, we know that bo-katan has stayed on Mandalore more or less since the end of the Clone Wars through the destruction of the Empire, fighting for the planet's freedom. And so we know that the planet of Mandalore is definitely not cursed, it's just not a nice place to be. Now, it could be that the Children of the Watch, like many cults, are just trying to control their members and keep them from finding out how the world actually works. Because they're worried about situations exactly like the one Din Djarin is now going through. Cults don't like their narrative to be challenged, and they develop ways to control their members and keep them hidden from the truth, and usually from their family. And so when Din Djarin kind of talks about his worldviews, which were shaped by the Children of the Watch, he's almost treated like he's a zealot or some kind of religious nut. Clearly, bo-katan has more tact than her other warriors. Instead of being offended by his views or annoyed by who he is, she offers a deal to Jiren. If he helps them raid an Imperial ship, they'll give him information about a Jedi they know, which is exactly what Jiren is looking for. So who are the Children of the Watch? Well, one of the most important pieces of information that we are missing is when they decide to leave Mandalorian society. For the most part, Mandalore has been under constant turmoil ever since the new Mandalorians took over. There was a devastating civil war fought between the more modern and forward-looking new Mandalorians and the more traditional parts of their society. These traditionals were known as Death Watch, and when they lost the war, they were exiled to the moon of Concordia. Death Watch stood for the old Mandalorian way, which meant keeping warfare and combat at the center of their culture. The new Mandalorians were more or less pacifist, and they rejected the warrior past of their people and blamed it for much of the planet's suffering. They did have a point to a certain extent. Most of the Mandalorians' past problems were caused by overly aggressive territorial expansion. But the new Mandalorians would be easy to corrupt and defeat, and from the Clone Wars until 9 ABY, when the Mandalorian TV show takes place, no true Mandalorian has sat on the Mandalorian throne. Technically, bo-katan has a right to the throne, but she needs to get her darksaber back. It's a symbol of leadership, and she lost it during the Purge, most likely to Moff Gideon. Now, the Children of the Watch honestly sound more like a Death Watch-aligned faction rather than the new Mandalorians, who didn't even wear helmets at all. Now, it's unknown exactly when the Children of the Watch left Mandalore, but I'm pretty sure it was before the Civil War or during the Civil War period at least, based on some of the clues we get from the first season and second season of The Mandalorian. From what we can tell, Jiren is rescued by the Children of the Watch during the Clone Wars. They're fighting B-2 battle droids. We probably can assume then that the Children of the Watch had already left Mandalore by this time because it would have been under the control of the new Mandalorians, or perhaps Maul and his Shadow Collective. What's interesting to note here is that the Mandalorians who saved Jiren are actually wearing blue, and one of them even has a Death Watch badge on his pauldron. The Children of the Watch we see in Season 1 all wear very muted and uncolored metal armor, which is kinda different. According to Wiki, the group that saved Jiren were actually part of the fighting corps in the Children's Watch, and yes, these individuals seem to be able to wear their old badges from their old clans and allegiances. It also should be noted that the Death Watch symbol is also representative of the Clan Vizsla symbol. And there is one Vizsla so far in The Mandalorian, that's Paz Vizsla, the Gatling gun-toting badass Mandalorian, but he doesn't sport any type of clan symbol on his armor. Now, there are some factions and legends in canon Mandalorian lore that kind of remind me of the Children's Watch. First, we have the Protectors of Concord Dawn. This faction of Mandalorians were supposed to defend the Mandalorian monarch. But when the Empire took over, they no longer had a job to do, so they went into exile. Then we had an organization like the True Mandalorians from Legends, which was run by Jango Fett. These were super commandos who functioned like a bounty hunter army, and they followed a very strict super commando codex, which helped guide the group from a moral standpoint. And lastly, we have Death Watch, which shares the word watch in its name with Children's Watch. Maybe Children's Watch, the Children's Watch, is a spin-off of this organization. Anyway, I hope we'll learn more about the Children of the Watch in upcoming episodes. I think it's pretty cool to see Jiren continue to grow and learn about the outside world. I know he's probably a bit confused right now about what it means to be a Mandalorian, but our hero has shown time and time again that he will follow his own individual beliefs, even if they go up against the traditions of his society. So who knows, maybe we'll see more of Jiren's face in the near future. So there you have it, guys. That's basically all we know about the Children of the Watch. Scour the internet. Let me know if you guys have found any more clues about who this mysterious tribe of Mandalorians is. Most likely, they've been created specifically for the show. That's going to be my closest thing to an answer that I have for you guys. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification button down below. And as usual, thanks for joining us today. If you're watching this, you are Generation Tech.